UFC 310, Pantoja versus Asakura. Let's fucking go, baby. One of the best cards of the year. I'm so excited for this one. It's going to be a banger. It's not just this fight on the card, it's the entire card from the early prelims to the main event. Let's go. Let's get right into this. Let's get started. Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. I'm so excited for this matchup. Finally, some new blood, I guess, in the flyweight division. We all know why this guy got the title shot. He has a big following over in Japan. I think he has over like a couple million followers too. But he's mainly a striker. I know they allow grounded knees to the head and soccer kicks and shit in Ryzen, and that's where he's coming over from. So I'm curious to see how he adjusts to the UFC rule set and the UFC level of competition, because we all know Pantoja, he walks through everything. This dude has no will to quit. I mean, his chin is, he might have the best chin in the UFC right now. I understand it's flyweight. I get it. I know they don't have a lot of pop in their shots, but Urseg was clipping him, and Urseg has some of the most powerful hands in the division right now. I'm curious to see how Kai's power transfers over. Another thing to mention, Kai Asakura was a 135er in Japan in Ryzen. He's coming over to fight in the flyweight 125 division. I don't know how that cut is going to affect him, affect his chin. I'm curious to see it, and I'm curious to see his skill set. I watched a couple of his fights. He seems like he's a counter striker, and we all know Pantoja's real plotty. He just walks right in the range and eats whatever comes his way, and then just starts throwing back and goes for the takedown, right? So I haven't seen a lot of Asakura's ground game. I'm curious to see how it goes. In this fight, I'm picking Pantoja just because that's who we know. Jesus, what the hell is all these fucking pop-up ads? I'm picking Pantoja just because I know how he fights. I know what he brings to the table. I know he has an incredible chin. I'm curious to see, like I said, Kai's weight cut. It might go well. It might not. He's coming down from 135. That's a big drop. I know the Japanese, they're a little bit smaller frame. They don't have the best chin. I get it. I know the level of competition is different over there, but we've seen guys come over and compete well at the highest level, like Yuri Prohaska. I understand Yuri got knocked out twice, and he's on a little bit of a losing streak. But hey, he beat Rakic, okay? He's up there. Light heavyweight is a dumb division. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the level of competition from Ryzen coming over. Manel Cap fought this guy twice. He won one. He lost one. I'm pretty sure they were both decisions. One second. Let me double check this. No Cap. Oh. TKO. And then he beat him by split decision. That was a long time ago, though. This was 2019. That's almost, 5 years ago these guys fought? And he's been beating guys by decisions, and I know that last one was crazy. That knee to the body was insane. I know you guys saw that highlight. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm happy we finally got some new blood in the flyweight division. We really needed it. It was, after heavyweight, it's probably the worst division in the UFC right now. Let's just be honest. It kind of sucks. Pantoja is great, but it's flyweight. We are all looking forward to Urseg. Urseg got knocked out by fucking Kai Kara France. The guy has one overhand right. That's the only move he knows. And he caught Steve Urseg with it. It's incredible, these guys. I digress. We move on to the next one. I think this is going to go to a decision. I don't think they're going to knock each other out. I don't think any guy's going to get submitted. I think it's going to go to a decision. And I think Pantoja is going to win by controlling Kai on the ground. I'll be very happy if Kai wins. I'll be very happy if Pantoja gets the knockout. I don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a decision. I digress, and we move on. Okay? Shavkat versus Garry. Now, I watched both of their last two fights because they fought similar opponents. Garry fought Jeff Neal the first time, as well as Shavkat. That was kind of their break into the top 15. They also both fought, they both fought Neil Magny. I forgot about that. Both guys fought Neil Magny. Shavkat obviously finished him. Garry did not, but I mean, it was pretty much, he pretty much did finish him. Let's be honest here. It was leg kicks on the ground over and over and over. I don't love seeing that because it is Neil Magny. You know, he is the leg kick king. Let's be honest. Yeah, Shavkat's just been on a fucking tear. But their past 3 opponents, obviously Shavkat has gotten the finished. Ian Garry has not. They both fought Jeff Neal. Shavkat finished him with that bully choke. He did get rocked a lot. We saw a big hole in his striking game. He looked very slow on the feet. And then we saw that again when he fought Wonder Boy. And I know Wonder Boy's this weird fucking puzzle of he's 40 and he's fast and he's karate and this and that. But I don't know. We saw fucking Joaquin Buckley finish him. I expect more out of Shavkat. I know the submission was great, but again, I expect more. Fucking Ian Garry, man. He was dapping up Jeff Neal the whole time in his last fight with him. I thought that was kind of weird. He was schooling him on the feet in the 2nd and 3rd round. I'll give him that. He looked a lot better on the feet. He wasn't getting hit. He was defending. He was fading and slipping, and he looked good on the feet. He was on his bike. I get it. He was doing his thing. I'm just looking for a finish from Ian Garry, and I don't know if we're going to get it because Shavkat eats fucking horse meat, and the guy just eats punches. We saw him get rocked against Jeff Neal. We saw him get tagged up against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but he just walks through it. That's the good all honesty. He doesn't fight that often. He fights maybe twice a year. He fought once over the last year, and he just walks through shit. I don't know what to say. This horse meat works. Ian Garry seems to have a good chin, but he's vegan. How much does that come into the play? Let's be honest. Being a vegan is not the best base of diet consumption to be a star. They all eat meat at the highest level. Maybe he's going to be the first that doesn't. I don't know. I don't see it. What I do see, though, is Ian Garry piecing him up and exhausting himself because I'm pretty sure this is a 5-rounder. So, with that being said, like I said, I watched both their last fights. Ian Garry was also dominating MVP on the ground. I understand Shavkat, that's his way to win. Dominate people on the ground, end up getting the submission by exhaustion. I understand. Ian Garry's been training a lot with Oliveira. He's been training a lot as shoot the box in Brazil. I think he has good enough ground game to at least defend himself and piece up Shavkat on the feet. The only way I see Shavkat winning is by TKO exhaustion on Ian Garry in the 4th and 5th round. I see more ways to win for Ian Garry than I do for Shavkat because of how good he is on the feet and how bad Shavkat is on the feet. Shavkat is very plotty. He fights like a light heavyweight. He walks into range, eats a couple shots, and trades. The problem when you're fighting with somebody like Ian Garry that's on his bike, moving, scooting, leg kick here, jab, cross, back up, change directions, it's hard to get in that range, especially if you're a plotty type of guy, as Shavkat is. Shavkat hasn't fought in over a year. His last opponent was Stephen Thompson. Ian Garry's been a lot more active. I think Ian Garry's going to beat him. And I think it's probably going to be a decision or late 5th round TKO. I don't think it's going to come early. I don't think either guy's going to get knocked out early. I'll be very surprised. But anyways, I watched both their film. I've been watching over the past couple of days. I watched all their past 3 fights because they both fought very similar opponents. And I just see a lot of holes in Shavkat's game. And how far can he take his chin? Because he hasn't fought anybody around his age. Obviously, Ian Garry's a little bit younger than him. I think he's 27 or 28. Shavkat's 31. I know he's coming to his prime. So is Ian Garry. Shavkat's only fought older opponents. Ian Garry's fought a little bit faster opponents. I'm talking about MVP, Wonder Boy. MVP's better than Wonder Boy. Let's get that out of the way. I just think Ian Garry has more ways to win in this one. I know Shavkat's a finisher. He's 18-0. I just don't think he's fought a striker like Ian Garry yet. And I think Ian Garry is going to depend on how fast he is on the feet. And I think Shavkat's going to depend on how good he is on the ground. That's enough. I'm going with Ian Garry by decision or 5th round TKO. I think he can get it done, and I think he can turn himself into a star. We got to give him credit. He took this fight when nobody else wanted it. Usman didn't fucking want it. Colby didn't fucking want it. Leon obviously didn't fucking want it. I don't want to hear it from anybody else in the division that didn't want it. Bilal obviously got injured. Remember the name. You got to give him credit where credit's due. He stepped up to the plate and he took the fight. No matter what goes on with him and his wife and all that bullshit, and that he's a vegan, he took the fight. Anyone, anytime. Got to give him that. Now, Volkov and Ciryl. I think heavyweight is one of those divisions where the active guy always beats the guy that takes the layoff, other than John Jones. That's what I think. Because these guys are so big and they have so much muscle, I think the activity level of being constantly in the cage does better for them. And to be honest with you, Volkov was very clean in his last fight against Sergey. It was a fucking, 5-round war, I'm pretty sure. And he schooled Sergey. Over 5 rounds. It was 3 rounds. I stand corrected. He schooled him over 3 rounds. I was very impressed by it. I know Sergey has a 1-2, and that's pretty much it. The guy lost all aura. Sad to see. Anyhow, Volkov looked good in his last couple fights. Ciryl looked like shit in his last fight. He said he wasn't there. I think he took a dive. It doesn't make any sense. How do you get choked from that position? He didn't even get elbowed. I think he took a dive because Jones ducked Ngannou, and Ngannou left the UFC, and the UFC needed their GOAT to be the best in the world. I think he took a dive, and I think he went to go do a bunch of movies, and he took off time, and he made a fuck ton of money, and now he's coming back against a guy who's been in the cage and who's been consistent and who has consistently gotten better since their first fight. I think Volkov's going to school him, and I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm going Volkov by decision. Both these guys don't have a lot of pop in their shots. They're very dynamic. They move. I understand Ciryl has great footwork and he can throw kicks from any angle. I just think he's going to be a bit rusty in there, especially at heavyweight. I don't think it makes sense to take off that much time when your last performance was shit. It's not like he was in there for 5 rounds in his last performance or even 3 rounds. He was in there for barely a round. And then he took, 2 years off? (2023) 2024 canceled. September 2nd was his last fight last year. It's been a full year. I digress. I'm going by Volkov by decision. Please don't get chinned. Kron Gracie versus Bryce Mitchell. I'm glad to see Bryce Mitchell is going against somebody that doesn't have a ton of pop in their shots. I know his last fight was against Josh Emmett. And again, I'm glad to see he's not going against someone who's a striker. It's going to be mostly a ground game battle. Kron Gracie's going to fucking butt scoot. He doesn't deserve to be on the main card. I hope he retires, and I hope that's the only reason he's actually on this card. I also think it's kind of weird how they have 2 featherweight matchups, Nate Landwehr and Dooho Choi, just in case one of these guys drops out. Let's be honest. I think he's going to retire. I hope he retires. This guy sucks. He has shown no improvements to his striking. His ground game kind of sucks too, to be honest with you. He doesn't deserve to be fighting Bryce Mitchell. Let's be honest here. He's 5-2, and he hasn't fought in a long time. Let's double check. loss, May 2023. Last loss before that, Cub Swanson, October 12th, 2019. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Who has he beat? Nobody. Make it make sense. Even if the fight doesn't make sense, put them on the prelims. They don't deserve to be on the main card. And I'm talking to Bryce Mitchell as well. It doesn't make any sense. I understand the Nate Landwehr, Dooho Choi. That makes sense. Start off the main card with a banger. It's going to be a great fight. I'm moving on from that one. I hope Bryce Mitchell fucking decisions him by control time and dominating on the feet. I would love to see him get a knockout. He deserves it. He stepped up on short notice. They don't deserve to be on the main card. I'm sorry. This is going to kill all fucking momentum of the main card, especially when you're starting off with a war. We move on. Nate Landwehr and Dooho Choi. Nate the fucking train. Let's go. These guys are going to go to war, and it's going to be a great fight, and I'm excited for it. That's all I got to say. I don't know how this fight's going to go. Both guys are fucking crazy. Once they get in there and they start swinging, it's like they just lose the game plan. I think Nate Landwehr has a better chin. We all know how the Asians are. They're chinny. Let's just be honest. They get clocked one good time, and they go down. It's just how it happens. I don't know why. I don't think they have enough red meat in their diet, to be honest with you. Look it up. That's why Brazilians are so fucking tough. They can take shots. We move on. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. I'm excited for this one too. This should be the fight that they swap out with Bryce Mitchell and Kron Gracie. Okay? I think they should do a direct swap. If you want to take it a step further, I think they can also swap out Nate Landwehr and Dooho Choi for Movsar Evloev and Aljamain Sterling. Now, this one I don't really care about that much. I think it's going to be a sleeper. I think it's going to be boring. I hope it's not. I understand why it's on the prelims. I just don't understand why it's under Vicente Luque and Themba Gorimbo. Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. I'm so excited for this one. I'm happy to see Dominic Reyes be back in there, be active, fight guys that he knows he can win. Anthony Smith does not deserve to be fighting in the UFC. I am sorry to say it. I don't think he's that good. I think the only way he wins is if somebody stupidly takes him down and leaves their neck out and he wraps up the submission. I think he sucks at striking. I don't think he can move. He doesn't know how to defend leg kicks. A 185er beat him. Okay? I think he needs to retire, and I think this is Dominic Reyes coming back, baby. Let's go. This is it. The title run starts now, baby. Peaches and fucking Creamville. Let's go. Dominic Reyes by first round. TKO. Nothing more is being said. Also, I think they fucked up Anthony Smith's show on ESPN Plus. They fucked it up on purpose whenever he filmed with Alex Pereira. I think that was hilarious. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. They're in a tattoo shop or some shit. The cut scenes were terrible. Everything was terrible. I don't know why they fucked it up so bad. I think they did it on purpose. They were like, calm down, little bro. You don't deserve a fucking show, all right? Stick to the back. That's all you get. We move on. Themba Gorimbo versus Vicente Luque. I think Themba Gorimbo is going to get it done by decision. I think he's going to hold Vicente against the fence. I think he's going to wrestle him, and I think Vicente is going to crumble. He's just not the same fighter that he used to be. It's sad to see. He gave up in his last couple fights. I understand he had that brain injury that was very fucking scary. It's just sad to see. Enough being said, I think Themba's on the come up. Title run starts now, 2025. Let's get it. Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. I think this is going to be a sleeper. And I also think that Aljo's going to lose. I think Movsar is better on the feet. I think he's better on the ground. And I think he's a lot stronger than Aljamain. Even though Aljo's very strong, I think he doesn't do much with his positions. I think Movsar does. I would love to see Mozart lose. I just think he's better. I think he's going to win, and I think it's going to be boring. I hope he knocks out Aljo, but I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a decision. We move on. Now this is the real people's event, all right? Randy Brown versus fucking Brian Battle, all right? Bros in Paris, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The Butcher in Paris. I think Brian Battle's going to beat the fuck out of him, and I think he's going to get the TKO in round 3. I don't think Randy Brown has a great chin. I think we've seen him get knocked out. He's great at playing the tit-for-tat battle. I don't think you can do that with somebody as high pace and as volume maxing as Brian Battle can. Okay? Brian Battle is Max Holloway at welterweight. And I think he beats the fuck out of Randy Brown. 3 rounds, TKO in the 3rd. I think it's going to be a banger of a fight. I'm excited for this one. Finally, some good prospects matching up in the welterweight division. Next year, 2025, welterweight's going to be at the top. It's going to be a top 2 division, up there with lightweight. I'm really excited for it. With that being said, the rest of the card is all right. Chris Weidman, Cody Durden, Joshua Van. I'm excited for that one. I think Joshua Van takes it. Nothing crazy. Chase Hooper, the real man's GOAT. I think Chase Hooper is going to get the sub. I think Clay Guida should either fight Tony Ferguson next or retire. He's old as fuck. He can't move very well. It's sad to see and it's sad to say. He needs to get out of here. All right? With that being said, let's enjoy it. Let's have a great end of the year pay-per-view. Hopefully this turns out to be a banger card. I'm so excited for it. With that being said, I'll see y'all next time.